Let's just talk politically, left and right. You're watching mobs. They're mobs. They're mobs believing their own crap, right?
Yeah.
We look for agreement and consensus. We're driven by agreement and consensus, and mob rule gives us comfort, gives us certainty.
Yeah.
It's all BS.
There's this sort of social justice, woke, progressive left idea of the Native Americans, what happened to the Native Americans or the originals of America when the people came from Europe, Britain, and sort of colonized, right? There's this saying, and this is one of the reasons why they'll say they don't celebrate Thanksgiving and stuff like that, because it's a celebration of genocide, even though that's not why Thanksgiving actually was made. Like, Thanksgiving wasn't created during the pilgrimage. That's not when the holiday was cemented. I think it was cemented during Abraham Lincoln's term as president, and was supposed to be like a celebration of, I think, freeing the slaves or something like that. I could be wrong, but it was supposed to be something like, you know, we're all equal, we're all man, we're all American, we all come together. I think that was supposed to be the point of Thanksgiving. So no, the pilgrimage, Christopher Columbus, his ass didn't like coin the term Thanksgiving. So that's not why we have Thanksgiving. But I guess like that's the picture that you're told, because I remember seeing that when I was in elementary school. You see the Indians or the Native Americans with the pilgrims, and they're eating food and stuff like that. And I was also taught like that's why we do Thanksgiving, but that's not when it was coined, and I don't really think that was the true purpose of it. However, that's what a lot of wokies and progressives will say, is that, you know, we can't celebrate Thanksgiving because the white people came over, the racists, colonizers, the patriarchy, whatever, they came over and they slaughtered and they committed genocide of the Native Americans. That's something I really like to say. Before we move on, I can talk about this because my great-grandma is full-blooded Native American. So there you go. You know, if we want to play the label card, it wasn't genocide. What actually happened was the Native Americans made a deal for some spices and fur and whatever, some things that we don't see as valuable now. So it was easy to say like, oh my God, they like traded land for a couple of spices. Back then, that was the currency. That was the trade. That was a big deal. Of course, in 2024, nobody's going to trade land for spices. But back then, that's what people did. So, like, put it into context, guys, right? So they traded some land for spices or whatever, or have you. And then they reneged on that. They said, actually, we ran out of spices, or we didn't like them, or what have you. We want our land back. But the settlers said, wait, we paid for this. This is our land. That's the deal. We bought it. It's now ours. We paid for it. The Native Americans said, well, no, we want it back. And then a war broke out. A battle broke out for this land, because the settlers was a more modernized, or if you want to use the word advanced society. They had bigger and better weapons than the Native Americans, spears and arrows, right? So they won the battle. They slaughtered, they won, they were bigger and better. They had, you know, maybe better strategy, I don't know, but they had bigger and better, more dangerous, more deadly weapons than the Native Americans.
In the matter of the death of civilizations, it comes down to technology. We invented worse first.
But because the left feels like, first of all, a lot of them don't actually know why the battle started or whatever. They truly believe in their minds, and maybe some of this did happen, but the basic battle that they talk about, they think that they went on the land and just started like slaughtering people left and right. You know, I'm not saying none of that happened, but on a larger scale, when the big battle happened, they didn't go in and just start shooting, according to history, as much as we know anyway. It was a battle. But to them, Native American brown, white people, you know, settlers white, this is not their land, and you won. So obviously this was genocide. Obviously this is unfair. You're the oppressor and they're the oppressed. So obviously this was a genocide. But no, it wasn't. It was a battle, and the Native Americans lost the battle big time and is still suffering today. And I'm not saying the Native Americans have not been fucked over, because they have. But at that moment, it was a battle. So we're here now in 2024 where they're calling what's going on in the Middle East a genocide. And it's not. Because if Israel really wanted to completely annihilate, ethnically cleanse the Palestinians, they would have done that. They could do it. They have the ability to do it. Obviously, they're not caring about the finger wagging from the other countries in the world. So if they wanted to do it, they would just do it and disregard people's complaints about it or uproar about it. They also have Arabs, Palestinians, Muslims living in Israel. So if they really wanted to get rid of them, then why are they even there? It is not genocide. It's a war. I heard someone else talk about this, that this is really the first time, especially for younger millennials and Gen Z, Gen Alpha, the first time they've really had to look at the ugly face of what war looks like for the very first time in their lives and get such a close look at it. Because if you've been on social media, you've seen all the trauma porn going around Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, TikTok, and it's so prolonged, it's so long. So it's very unsettling and it's very uncomfortable for people to realize that children are being slaughtered, are being killed, innocent people are being killed. It's very uncomfortable for people to feel that and see that and know that's happening, even though it's literally constantly happening on the planet all the time. Again, like, if you want to talk about ethnic cleansing, Burma, that no one actually cares about, and that's not actually even a war. That's just them literally ethnically cleansing, like going into their tribes without, no one prompted it, no one went and attacked the Burmese, just, we don't want you here, so we're gonna go in your village. And if you listen to those testimonies, you haven't heard ugly yet. You haven't heard trauma yet.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Since August 25, Burmese military have carried out a campaign of ethnic cleansing against Rohingya in northern Rakhine State. The focus of my research was sexual violence. One of the ways that the ethnic cleansing campaign was conducted was through the use of rape.
My 2-year-old was thrown into the river and drowned. My infant was thrown and smashed on the ground.
Of the Uyghurs who are being ethnically cleansed, and China. That's not a battle. That's not a war. You have in the Middle East, there's still literally slave trade going on right now in the Middle East and in Africa, Yemen. I mean, like Haiti. Like, we can go on and on and on. Like, it's constantly going on. It's constantly happening. But no one cares about that because it doesn't benefit us or Americans or America, and no one's spreading trauma porn about it. No hashtag is going popular about it. So this is the first time people had to face it, right? But it's war. Very, very, very ugly. Very ugly. And even the trauma porn that you came across your eyeballs is probably not even the worst of it. The soldiers and the civilians who experienced it, they know the worst of it. That's probably not even the worst of it. War, and I'm not talking about this particular war, but war in general is ugly. It's you can't even imagine it. You can't even imagine what it looks like, because your brain probably can't come up with how horrific and how devastating and how ugly war is. What people do to other human beings, what soldiers can do to other human beings and other families, and what soldiers have done to women, what soldiers have done to children. It is so disgusting. Even me thinking about it right now is making my stomach turn. That is how disgusting, ugly, and horrific war is. But that has always been war. War has never been coined as a genocide. It's always just been, you won. But for some reason, and it could be because people are acting dumb, people being disingenuous, people hate Israel, so they want them to look really bad. Or sometimes it could just be ignorance because they've never seen it before, this up close for this long. So they're like, oh my God, this has to be genocide. They're killing too many people. That's war. That's literally what war is. Please, if anybody can point out one battle in history where it was a tit for tat, whether it was like strength for strength, like, oh, you have only arrows and we have guns, we'll put our guns away and we'll only fight you with arrows. What, you don't have drones? Oh, okay, we won't use drones because we wanted this to be a fair fight. Oh, you have only 300 men and we have 5,000? Sorry, I'm in a country view. I just heard that rooster.
Okay.
Well, we'll send some of our men back home and we'll only have 500 men too because we want this to be equal. Point to any battle who's done that. Point to any war that's happened where it was a fair fight. Every war is fought this way. Whoever has the most weapons, the bigger weapons, the more powerful weapons, the most deadly weapons, and the most men and the best strategy wins. That is war. I'm trying to understand why people are calling what has historically been deemed war since the earth has begun a genocide today. For me, I think that is one of those talking points that you just say because it gets an emotional reaction and it's hard to argue against. And so like when you see these pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas, anti-Israel, anti-Jewish people, these protesters, they say, well, you are for genocide, they're committing genocide. It's that word resonates with people and it gets an emotional response, and you want people on your side. You're trying to like emotionally manipulate people to your side and to your plight, to your argument, but it's not a genocide, it's war, and it wasn't started by Israel. Now, I know what the pro-Palestinians are going to say and say, well, no, it was started by Israel because of the apartheid and the oppression of Palestinians. And I'm not going to argue that in this video because I've already argued it. I've already made other videos about how it's not actually an apartheid state. Maybe there's discrimination, maybe there's racism, maybe there's prejudice, maybe there's biases, maybe the money is not being allocated equally, like some neighborhoods look better than others. You can say the same thing about inner cities and suburbs and stuff like that, but that's not apartheid. That's not the same thing. And I think people are correlating the two because, again, it sounds better in an argument to say apartheid, because again, that resonates with people and you get an emotional reaction, an emotional response, and it's hard to argue in a debate, right? But it's not an apartheid. But maybe they've been treated unfairly. I don't know. I'm not living there. I'm not a Palestinian. I don't know their lived experience. I know what I've heard. I watched a video lately where they were talking to Arabs and Muslims in Israel and asking if there's apartheid, and most of them said no. But they all said maybe there's some sort of prejudice that they feel. But also, I would argue this, that the innocents at the festival had nothing to do with their oppression. Let's say there is an apartheid. They had nothing to do with the apartheid. They were just innocent. It's like someone over there smacks someone over there, the person they smacked come over and smacks me, and I have done nothing wrong. And your argument is, well, that person smacked them. Like, I didn't smack them. Why did I deserve to be smacked? I didn't smack them. The other person did. So I don't really get that argument of like, well, this is what happens. Well, then attack the people who've done this to you. Not random people at a festival, and not children babies that are still missing that we don't know is alive. They didn't do anything wrong. That argument for me fails. I get when you back a dog in a corner and you keep kicking him down that he's eventually going to bite. I get that argument, but I don't think it justifies what happened on October 7th. So for me, Hamas started this war. It is a war. It is not a genocide. That does not mean that it is not immensely hard for me to see the constant trauma porn on my Twitter page. That makes me not even want to open Twitter. That and the actual porn that is Twitter is riddled with. It doesn't mean that I don't have a heart for the crying and wailing mothers of Palestine who lost their kids. It doesn't mean that, and I look at the devastation of Gaza and it doesn't strike a chord with me. It doesn't mean that I don't second guess and think like, what are they doing to the Palestinians? Like, it does really look like they're trying to get rid of the Palestinians, that they just want their land or they just don't want them to exist. It doesn't mean that I don't have any empathy, but I know what war is. I'm not naive to war. I'm not new to it. I know what it is because I'm educated and I know about the wars of the history of the world, and I see what's going on today in other countries that are still being devastated and no one talks about. So to me, it's still a war. And if you attack a country, that country is allowed to defend themselves and they're allowed to win. And if this happened in America, because it kind of already did happen a little bit, we had a terrorist attack, we would have done the same thing. Absolutely. And also try to slightly take some more freedoms away from America. Under the disguise of we're trying to get rid of terrorism. Anywho, guys, that's it. This video is longer than I wanted it to be. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about if you think this is a war or do you think this is a genocide. Let me know in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell to get notifications when I do upload. All that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support this channel, please, for the love of God, you can donate. My PayPal and Cash App link is in the comment section down below. And you can super thanks. And you guys have an amazing, beautiful day. Bye!